All right, today we're going to decode an IT compliance tool called MAMAT, and we're pulling this straight from its user guide. Now, anyone in tech knows this feeling, right? That constant battle to keep everything secure, updated, and in line. It can seriously feel like chaos. So we're going to explore how tools like this one promise to bring some real order to all that madness. So let me start by asking you a question. Just for a second, think about how many devices, applications, and updates your company really has to manage. And I mean, go beyond the obvious laptops. Think about everything. Whatever number you just landed on, I'm willing to bet the real one is way bigger. And that gap right there, that's the problem we're diving into. Because the list just goes on, doesn't it? It's not just laptops and desktops. You've got servers, routers, firewalls that have their own firmware. You've got software licenses about to expire, critical security patches dropping all the time, employee training records you have to keep track of. Oh, and this whole web of compliance standards holding it all together. Every single one of those is a plate you have to keep spinning, and if just one drops, well, it can bring a whole lot of others crashing down with it. When you're trying to juggle all those spinning plates, it's so easy to fall into what we're just going to call IT compliance chaos. You know what I'm talking about. It's that low-level hum of anxiety in the back of your mind, that nagging feeling that something, somewhere, has been missed. And you know what? That feeling is totally justified, because the stakes could not be higher. A single missed update isn't just a little oversight, no way. It's the one tiny crack that can lead to a failed audit, or even worse, a catastrophic security breach. So, how in the world do you fight back against this chaos? Well, this is exactly where a tool like MAMAT comes into the picture. The whole promise is pretty simple: to replace all that chaos with a system that's actually built for control. And it does this with one really powerful concept: creating a single source of truth. Just imagine for a second getting rid of all the scattered spreadsheets, the outdated email chains, the sticky notes on monitors. Instead, every single critical detail about your IT world lives in one unified, authoritative place. You know, here's a fantastic way to think about it. MAMAT is basically a digital librarian for your company's entire tech library. But this librarian doesn't just know what books, your devices and software, you have. It knows exactly where they are, who's responsible for them, and precisely when they're due for their next checkup. It's all about bringing this quiet, systematic order to a library that used to be super noisy and disorganized. And according to its own guide, the system brings that order through a really clear three-part framework. First, you set the rules. Next, you track your assets. And finally, you prove your work. Set, track, prove. Simple, right? Let's break down each one. Okay, let's jump into step one: set the rules. This is the bedrock of the entire system. I mean, before you can measure if you're compliant, you have to actually decide what compliant means for your organization. You're basically writing your own rule book. The core building block here is what the system calls a task, and this is key. A task isn't some vague objective. No, it's a specific, repeatable, and non-negotiable action. It is a concrete instruction. And these examples from the user guide make it super clear. A task is literally to run a full virus scan. It's to apply OS security patches. It's to verify USB protection. You define all these little actions, creating a library of every single thing that absolutely must be done to keep your environment safe. Okay, that leads us right into step two: track your assets. So you've built your library of rules and tasks. Now it's time to actually assign them. This is where you connect the what, the action, to the who and where, the specific device, or even the person. And what's pretty impressive is just how much stuff you can track. Of course, you've got the obvious things like hardware and software, but it's also firmware versions, vendor details, maintenance schedules. And here's where it gets really powerful. It even extends to people. You can track if an employee has completed their mandatory security training, treating that knowledge as a critical company asset. And it all comes together in a unified view that looks something like this. Every single asset is cataloged, so at a glance, you know exactly what needs to get done, who's on the hook for it, and if it's on time or maybe falling a little behind. This right here, this is that single source of truth in action. Which brings us to our third and final step. And honestly, this is the whole point. Prove your work. Because doing the work is only half the battle. Being able to prove you did it, on demand, to an auditor or your boss, that's the real payoff. I mean, just picture the scene. An auditor is sitting across the table from you and asks, "Show me proof that every single one of your servers is patched." What do? frantically search through old emails, pull up a spreadsheet, and just hope it's up to date? This is about replacing that moment of absolute panic with a moment of complete confidence. And that confidence comes directly from the output, the reports. You can instantly generate a status report on every single device. You can get automated alerts for anything that's overdue. And, this is huge, you can produce a report that demonstrates compliance with a specific standard, like HIPAA or PCI or whatever you're up against. It's an airtight, verifiable history, ready to go at a moment's notice. And this is the fundamental shift in mindset. You're not just managing a checklist anymore. You are actively building an irrefutable, time-stamped audit trail for every critical action you take. This isn't just about getting work done, it's about creating bulletproof evidence that it was done right. So when you put it all together, the journey this kind of tool promises to take you on is a pretty powerful one. It's a move from absolute, total chaos to complete clarity. Think back to that world of chaos. Its vocabulary is all about stress, isn't it? Overdue, vulnerability, unknown. That constant, gut-wrenching feeling that an audit is just around the corner and you've definitely missed something critical. The destination is clarity. It's about replacing that entire vocabulary of stress with a single, clear dashboard. A view where you know your exact compliance status in real time. It's the difference between constantly putting out fires and proactively making sure they never start in the first place. So, we'll leave you with one last question to think about for your own organization. When it comes to your IT compliance, are you operating on a foundation of proof? Or are you maybe running on a little bit of guesswork and just hoping for the best? Because in today's world, that is a gamble you really can't afford to lose.